I don't want to be dramatic, but honestly, having a great profile picture can be the difference between the make or break for your handmade artisan business. Of course, there's hundreds of elements that go into building a handmade artisan business, but your profile picture is the way that customers are able to actually connect with you online, see your face, know that you're a really real person, and go through to purchase from you. Today, I'm going to be giving you the context of when and where customers are connecting with your profile picture, and really why it's so important and why you need to get one onto your social profiles now. But I'm also going to be going through the do's and don'ts, so make sure that you watch right through to the end so that I can take you through those so that you're making the right steps and you're making the right choices to get that beautiful profile picture on your handmade artisan page. My name's Lena, and if you're a handmade artisan, I have been where you are. I started my fashion brand 14 years ago and successfully sold 2 years ago, but I've been on that journey of not having any idea about how to build a business online and having to learn really quickly. So in these videos, I'm hoping that I can really provide some insights and ideas for you to use as a guide so that you can simplify and amplify your journey online. First up, when we're talking about getting a profile picture, it's really important to understand why, but also when customers are actually interacting with those images. Because as you might have heard, there's that marketing funnel that customers are going through. And if you're new to the space, new to funnels, basically with the marketing funnel, it means that we're opening right up the top, getting many customers as we can at the top of the funnel where they're discovering you, and they're coming down in a journey to that point where they're actually going to be purchasing from you. The first part of that funnel is that's when customers are starting to discover you. And often that might be something like behind the scenes reels that you're creating, or perhaps it's images of your product, or you creating your product and showing the end product. It's often in those spaces that they might stumble across you and get to know you. Now, it's in the next stage of that funnel where they're starting to do research once they've discovered your products. Now, that research is going to involve a few things. First of all, it's going to be looking through all of your products and seeing whether or not they do think it looks like it's a quality artisan product, but also whether or not it's going to be useful for them. Now, after that point of really going into your products, that's when they're going to start digging around to find out a bit more about you. Because when we're talking about buying beautifully handcrafted items, the customer wants to connect with you as the artist. That's the bit that makes it special. You are the bit that makes your product special, because there will be other versions of what you're creating. Let's say if you're doing ceramic mugs, or you're doing ceramic plates, or jewelry, or any of the handmade artisan products. There will be other similar products out there, but you are the difference in your product. So you want to make sure that customers are actually able to find you. Now, of course, that's not just about your profile picture. It's also about actually creating connection in that, and it's about you being able to share a bit more about your environment. And every brand, every artisan will do it a little bit differently. I know some artisans really like to talk about the area that they live in, because that might be where they're gaining a lot of inspiration, whether others might like to actually share more about their processes and behind the scenes, or maybe you like to do a bit of both. But it's in that research phase that the customer's going to be digging in to find out all of those things, to see whether or not you're a match. Because sales are not sales, sales are connection. And it's when customers actually see something in you that makes it seem familiar, makes you seem trustworthy, makes it seem like, oh, I'm interested and I really want to see and touch and hold that product, and I'm going to press buy. Now, once customers have been through that funnel and they've actually pressed purchase and they've bought the product and they received the product in their hot little hands, that next stage is that we actually really want to encourage customers to write reviews. Now, if they've been able to connect with you on a human level, which is usually face-to-face, even if it's online and even if it's only one way because you probably haven't seen their face, but in that moment when they've got a face that actually is in front of the product in their mind, the type of review that you'll get is really different. Now, if you need proof of that, just go into any big mass-produced store and have a look at the reviews in there, and it's very clinical and it's only about the product and the functionality. Now go and have a look at Artisan reviews and see how the customer talks about the packaging that was put in, the care that was put in, the creativity, the special touches. They're so different, and energetically they're very different, but it's in that human connection that we actually get those beautiful reviews that come through as well. Your profile picture is also a great way for you to have an extension of your brand. And what I mean by that is it's just another touch point. It's another opportunity that you can put forward the story of who you are as an artist, but also what it is that you're creating. So in those pictures, there's ways in which you can tell a story. Now, if you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, think about in your head of a picture that you've seen of an artist and talk to me about the story that relays, because I know that there'll be a picture that comes to your mind. For me, it's of a famous artist, and she's in her studio and she's sort of leaning up against the wall, but she's got her clothes that have got a bit of paint on them, and she's standing next to her big scale artwork. And straight away it's drawing me into the story of creation, the story of her studio, the story of the 100 hours that she puts into every art piece. So that's what you can achieve in a beautiful brand profile pic. A customer will purchase from you once they feel that that connection has been made and that trust has been built. Even now today, even though in the massive online selling, customers still want to know that they can trust who they're sending their money to. Now, of course, hot tip, if you're an artisan, you might want to look into becoming a member on Made It. We've got super safe payment gateways and all of the things in place to build that trust as well. But I digress. But it's in the connection that customers actually feel confident to buy from you, because it's not just about the payment gateway, right? It's about trusting that what you're showcasing online is what they're going to receive. You know, I know that there's a preconception that we think that customers might see something once and they purchase straight away. That is so rare. More often than not, customers are going to spend quite a bit of time, especially when it comes to handmade artisan products. It's a different charge, it's a different energetic charge, it's a different connection, but you'll also find that you get amazing, lifelong, loyal customers. So it's worth putting in the work. Okay, let's start off with the don'ts when it comes to your profile picture. Do not, please do not use a picture that you've had with your husband or your partner or your friends or at a random wedding that you went to, and you chop yourself out of the picture and you can still see perhaps a hand on your shoulder or a wine glass in behind from someone else. This is your business. This is your handmade artisan business. Give it the respect that it deserves to have a beautiful profile picture just of you. Now, if you don't already have that picture, I'm going to go through some tips on that, but it takes 5 minutes, 2 minutes to literally grab your smartphone, put it towards yourself and get a great selfie. And you've got so many different options for just having beautiful natural light. And that will look so much better than you getting a picture with others and chopping them out of the picture. This one is more of a non-negotiable rather than a don't, right? But the non-negotiable is the image must be high quality. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. First and foremost, it's obvious you just need to use high quality images, right? Same with your products. But on the other side as well, customers will connect quality of images to quality of product. So whether or not it's a great representation of your product, if you have poor quality images, customers will naturally relate poorer quality to the quality of your goods. They're not seeing your products in person, they're seeing them online. So it's funny, the little triggers that happen in the mind in an instant, and it's very hard to get that back. First impressions matter. Now, if you're an artist who's absolutely like, I cannot have my face in this shot, I don't want it there, I'm not comfortable with it, I get it. But then what you're going to need to do is come up with a way that customers can recognize you in a moment. So let's say, for an example, and I've seen this done beautifully with so many artisans, they might be actually creating their products with their hands, and perhaps there's a shot coming in from the side of actually you with the product. Now, hot tip, if you're using your hands, it's much easier to get a great shot with your hands this way than it is on top. There's so many more different parts. So if you want to get a picture with your hands and you're finding that you can't get the shot, try holding the product and having your hands underneath rather than on top, and you might get greater success a lot more quickly. But use something similar in that shot so that customers have got that quick trigger to know that it's you. Now, let's say, for an example, that you might use a lot of black and white imagery. You might have that so that it's really clear. You might play with having a backdrop that you might use in some of your photos. Let's say you use a bit of wood, or you've got a fence or something that you often use in your photos. Then try having that in your profile picture. So again, it's that really quick reference that the customer can make between you and your products. My final don't is don't leave it blank. Look, I see this on our platform as well, and of course, you know, we make sure that that doesn't happen, but where customers are like, they don't put anything into their store profile picture spot. If you don't yet have I said yet there, if you don't yet have a profile picture that you can use in that spot, use a different image. And that could be your logo, that could be a photo of your product, maybe one of your most prominent products that you create. But anytime that you have an opportunity or there's a space to put a photo, make sure that you've got something there. Let's talk about do's. So first and foremost, I want to say do the research. Now, this is a step that often gets forgotten, and I find it gets forgotten with product shots as well. I think that as creatives, we kind of just assume that, oh, I can just go with it on the fly, or let the creative juices flow. And I get it, but it's not often how it works, especially when it's about getting a photo that you really love. There's usually quite a bit more preparation in it that goes into it. So what I would suggest is jumping over to Pinterest, utilizing a board over there, doing research to find the types of images that you like, and really getting down to a short list of about 5 to 10 photos that you might be able to replicate. And I don't mean replicate copy, I mean more sort of like gain inspiration from. Because once you've got 5 to 10 photos that you really love, you'll find that there's something similar happening in most of them. It could be what the person is wearing, it could be the filter, it could be, you know, is it black and white? Is it heaps of color? What's the energy of the person in the shot? But once you have those in front of you, you'll be like, oh, hold on a second, I know the perfect spot to do that. Or maybe, oh, I know what top I want to wear when I take that photo of, oh, I know what the backdrop's going to be. All of those pieces of the puzzle become much easier for you to plan the right profile picture. This do is a bit of an investment, I want to say, but it's a really worthwhile investment if you get the opportunity. And that would be to get professional profile pics done. Now, your profile pic will last for a really long time, depending on, you know, let's say if you don't change your hair, maybe you've got the same hairstyle. That can be a photo that you could use for years. I mean, sort of the guideline that I like to use is to use a profile picture for about 12 months maximum, because even energetically, we change so much in that time that often those photos become disconnected. With getting professional photos done, you know, the quality that they're taking is so different. Even though our smartphones have beautiful cameras on them, it's not the same as actually getting a professional photo done. Now, the way that I would suggest that you can go about this to make it a bit more affordable, you're not going to need a whole shoot on your own with a photographer. Perhaps if you're going to do all your products as well, maybe. But if it's just to get your bio shot done, I'd look out for an opportunity which is called like a mini shoot. And it's where photographers offer a day where there might be, I don't know, 9 or 10 people all getting their photos done. And you might have 20 to 30 minutes or even 15 to 30 minutes with the photographer. Now, I know that seems like a short amount of time, but trust me, 15 minutes in front of the camera is actually heaps of time. But again, this isn't where you want to start. If you're not used to seeing photos of yourself, take the time to actually practice with your own smartphone on a tripod to get the shots that you want, so that you can purely get used to seeing yourself in photos. It's kind of like, once you're used to seeing yourself in photos, once you've got a plan and an idea, that's when you can go to a professional photographer and get beautiful pictures, which are like the doorway to your brand. And it's also a way that you'll find that you get a lot more featured when you've got those great photos as well. You know, people want to feature artisans that come across at that high level quality. When you're working on your profile picture, you also want to make sure that it stays on brand, right? So there's a way in which you can kind of think about your brand. If you can sum it up in 3 words, that's kind of what you want it to reflect in your profile picture. So let's say, for example, let's say you're a jeweler, and it might be sophisticated, designer, elegant. Well, that's what you want to be able to portray in your profile picture. When we're talking about handmade artisan products, and when we're talking about customers buying handmade artisan products, there's an aspirational piece that comes into it. And it's where customers are wanting to have part of that artist's life in their life. So you want to make sure that they match. So on the reverse side, let's say that you might create, I don't know, beautiful, colorful totes. If that's what you do, then you want to make sure that you've got that fun and vibrancy and color that's in your profile picture as well. But you want to make sure that your products and your profile picture are sitting on the same balance. Now, one of the do's to remember is to practice, right? Practice makes perfect. And that means practice being in photos. I know that for so many artisans, you're kind of the creative behind the scenes, right? You've got that whole subtle and sophisticated and artistic flair to you, which means that you often may not be in photos. You may be the one that likes creating behind the scenes rather than being in front of the camera. But if you're able to really change your journey with getting in front of the camera, you are going to see the success of your brand online absolutely escalate. The most simple way to practice being in front of the camera is to make sure that you've got a tripod. Every handmade artisan business needs a tripod. Actually, every business needs a tripod. But you've got your smartphone, and you can literally use the timer on your phone and start getting photos and start having a look at, what does it look like when I'm sitting like this, when I'm sitting up, when I look to the side, when I look to the front, when I have my hand up, when I have my hand down. Start to get to know all of those parts of where you might feel comfortable in front of the camera, but also where you can get those photos. Now, of course, the even more important pictures that you're going to need for your handmade artisan business are your product images. They are even more important, and you need to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward when it comes to showcasing your products online. So if you're new to selling online, or perhaps you've been going for a while and you're ready to give your images a refresh, jump on the link below to get your free image guide so that you can start amplifying the photos of your products that you're showing online. If you found this video helpful today, I would love it if you could subscribe. I would love it if you could put a like, but also pop in the comments and introduce yourself. I'd love to be able to connect with you and find out more about your handmade artisan business.